Hello, Kaci Brown here. I am thrilled to welcome you to the Brace for Impact podcast. I've been incredibly blessed to work with and coach some of the top entrepreneurs, CEOs, and marketers in the industry. And do you know the one thing that they all had in common? They didn't wait for the perfect time, but hit the ground running. They learned to see opportunity in motion and just leap. I created this podcast to help other entrepreneurs own their calling, expand their influence, get uncomfortable, embrace the growth of the journey to leave an impact on the world around them. For those who are ready to stop playing it small, to pick up the mantle of contribution that our clients in the world so desperately need. If that's you, then get ready to brace for impact as I share with you the top strategies, real truths, and hacks to crash through the obstacles and arrive in alignment of integrity, impact, and income. It's time to initiate the ripple effect of change. Hi, this is Kaci Brown. Welcome to Brace for Impact, and today we are diving into what got you here will not get you there. I first heard Alex Charfen speak those words 2 years ago as a fresh, new 2CCX student, and we were only a few months into the program. At that point in time, I was a solopreneur who had learned how to do a lot of things really well. I was scrappy, I was adaptable. If there was something that came in my way, I would figure out a way around it or stubbornly bulldoze my way through it. And I understood the soft concept of what he was saying, but I could not quite wrap my mind around the intensity of how I needed to completely understand that. At the time, I had no idea what or how I was going to reach the level of mindset or success of the people who I had surrounded myself with. But I knew I needed to be there. I knew that I just needed to trust the process, have complete faith to the people who were there to pour into me and who have traveled this path before me. It was hard, but I knew Alex had a track record. I knew he had worked with various different levels of just corporate and entrepreneur. So his viewpoint was really interesting to me because I understand there's vast differences between corporate and entrepreneurial. But there's also incredible similarities if you pay attention enough to find the patterns of the really good ones, the ones that stand out, the ones that truly impact and change the world. And that is the category that I was running for. In the 2 years since, I've gained more of an understanding of what it really, really means and how to apply it in my life and my business. A statement or just a cool quote from a speaker, that's one thing. That's a really cool quote. And a lot of us have it printed out, written down, or maybe even hanging on our walls. What got you here will not get you there. But it's actually applying that to your life and to your mindset. Are you taking those actions to implement this strategy? And there is a big, big, big difference in knowing what you need to stop or start and actually doing it. I'm a doer. It's just in my programming. So even if I don't understand it, even if I can't quite see every single step in the path, I have to trust the process. I get to trust the process. I learned to stop being all things to all people and find my own lane. The first few clients that I had were absolutely the wrong clients. They weren't ready. I had to coach them on everything from how to create their tax documents, how to start their Facebook page, how to define their market. And essentially, it was like a business 101. And I was ready to get in there and get to the organic social publishing and strategy to scale through paid traffic. But I had a heart for these businesses because I understood the struggle. I understood not knowing what your next steps needed to be. But I struggled too long to serve two markets, right? So I had two avatars that I was serving, and I was dispersing my energy. So it was apparent to me what I had the opportunity to get to choose how I focused that energy. And that's one of the things that I think is the biggest overall overarching concepts of this, what got you here will not get you there, is what are you doing that you need to stop doing so you can start doing the things that give a singular focus to your energy and to your superpower. Like, what's the one thing that you can do that no one else does? And that's what needs to take top priority for your energy disbursement. For me, I had to find a lane. And I had to own it and declare it and make sure people knew it. And for me, that was impact and relationships. Too long, I watered down my message. Sort of like I felt like the space that we're in and the business owners that we're in, I felt like they needed to understand, like they wanted to be profitable. They wanted to make massive amounts of money. And so I found that I was watering down my message of impact and truly building relationships sort of as like a secondary strategy. And it was exhausting because I had to convince people why it was important to create a long-term relationship with their clients. And as soon as I shifted that focus and I niched down and I stopped saying yes to everything and only saying yes to who I could absolutely serve the best, who was aligned in my mindset, who was aligned with serving for the long term of their clients. Because when you get a business like that, who has that long-term game in mind, the profitability of the company is better, the cash flow of the company is better, and the impact of the company is better. And that for me is a win-win-win. When someone is so committed to create a profitable, healthy business, sell an incredible product or service, and serve their clients and customers in a way that dramatically puts them ahead of everyone else, for me as a marketer and strategist, that is the easiest job in the world. That is what would wake me up in the middle of the night that I would do for free for the rest of my life because I'm so on fire about it. But in order to do that, I had to shift my focus and I had to narrow it down and I had to get crazy intentional. I had to stop serving multiple avatars and go all in with the ones who are ready to work for me. One of my favorite analogies that Russell always shares with us is when he shares the question that he gets asked quite often. How do you know who to help? How do you know who to serve? And it's the analogy of the Coast Guard, like the rescuers in the helicopter. And it's just like the visual, I can't get it out of my mind. He said they go for the ones who are swimming towards the lifeboat. The ones who have the drive, the ones who already are in motion, heading in the right direction, and they just need your superpower to come along beside them and absolutely lift them up. So I mentioned earlier about the singular disbursement of energy, and I just want to kind of dive into that a little bit more because many of us, me included, I'm going to own it with you guys, get stuck doing all the things because we think we're the only ones who are going to do it right, who are going to only serve with that level of intensity or attention to detail. And I've got news for you. As soon as I started letting others do certain things that were not my superpower, but were their superpower, my singular energy, like I got back extra storages of my singular energy because I didn't have to worry about that detail of my business anymore. One of the perfect examples that you are listening to right now is this podcast. All I have to do is show up and speak my heart and serve in a way with a message that I know will connect with the people that I want to serve, and Parker and the team do the rest. And that gives me so much peace of mind, so much clarity and focus that all I have to do is focus on the message. All I have to do is speak from the heart. I don't have to worry about the voice recording edit or whatever the dials do or the certain voice modulation or volume or editing, processing, rendering or whatever like that. I don't have to worry about any of that. And that gives me energy not wasted on things that I'm not passionate about or isn't a core function of my superpower. That was a mindset that I struggled with for a really, really long time because I did not believe that I had the resources to be able to outsource certain things. But as soon as I did, my level of energy increased and I was able to focus on the things that really, really mattered. So I learned to stop saying yes to everything and being crazy intentional with my time and who I work with. I learned to lean in to the power of that singular focus that I was telling you about versus the disbursement of energy. So to give you sort of like a mini math lesson here of the singular disbursement of energy, or the singular focus of energy versus the disbursement of energy. If you only have 100 units of energy in your day and you're trying to be all the things to everybody, you're going to do a lot of things okay or pretty well, right? Or if you're just crazy, like married to the hype of hustle, you will use the whole 24-hour period and deprive yourself of sleep and be absolutely exhausted and maybe get everything done, but not at your highest peak performance. So at that point, you're truly not serving at your highest level because you're not valuing yourself as an asset. I learned to value my strengths and stop apologizing for them. I now appreciate my empathy. Empathy is one of the greatest superpowers in the whole world if you're a marketer. If you're sensitive and you can understand the needs of others and the emotions of others, you have an unfair advantage over everyone else. And impact-driven marketers have an unfair advantage, I believe, over everyone else because they have a perspective that trumps everyone else. Everyone else is just going for the money, going for the profitability, going for the sale. But an impact-driven marketer, they're going to care about the experience, the fulfillment. How can I serve this customer at the next level? How can I better improve this product or service or experience? They're constantly evolving. They're constantly paying attention and they're constantly responding to their market. There's so much glitz and glamour of high volume, but what they don't tell you is maybe they have a 40% or 50% refund rate. Maybe they're fighting to keep those customers so hard, or they're just firing their customers. They don't even want to work with them anymore. They don't light them up. They're not passionate about it. I couldn't imagine living in a world where you just don't love your customers that much. I cannot tell you how many people I know that do not like the people they serve. Like it blows my mind. So if you are an empath, if you are sensitive, if you are emotionally connected, own it. I used to apologize for tearing up and crying because it's easy. It's not like I choose it to be easy, but it doesn't take much for me to have an emotional connection or a reaction. And I used to like that. I used to be embarrassed about it and apologize for it. And now it's like, you know what? I am not going to fight it. God made me this way and it's a gift. So I completely own it. And I'll tell you who encouraged me to own it. And it was back when I was a photographer. We were at a speaking, a workshop that I was hosting and had coordinated. And one of the speakers and I, we were kind of debriefing and having lunch together. And he was a crier too. And he just straight out said, you know what? You own it. You own it. And it was interesting getting that type of advice from a man, because I understand the struggle, especially from the male perspective. It's got to be even harder for someone who's sensitive and an empath as a male, because it was hard for me as a woman, but I digress. So to get back focus on what got you here won't get you there. I learned to speak up, to stop letting others control and validate my importance or belonging. I learned to speak up, to stand up, and to be confident that what I bring to the table has value. And for some people, it has extreme value. And most of all, I learned to stop watering down the business principles that I teach and I incorporate on giving and serving and impacting. So I niched down. I niched down to impact-driven entrepreneurs, and I focus on impact-driven marketing, leveraging social media, organic to paid traffic. And it has been incredible. By being able to focus on that, just last year alone, I was able to launch a summit, a mastermind, have one-on-one clients, become a #1 Amazon best-selling author, launch this podcast, interview incredible people, and share their gifts and message with the world. I was able to serve over 1,000 entrepreneurs between the different coaching programs that I was serving in, with 2CCX, with Make Money Coaching, with the Ultimate Business Accelerator. It was an incredible year. But this year, I'm at another crossroad. I'm at another growth point. What got me here will not get me there. There's some things that I have to let go. And it is bittersweet. It is extremely bittersweet because I've found my lane, I've found my niche, and I've found who I want to serve. But in doing that, I have to fully step into and be able to serve my way. And that's where Amplify comes into play. This is the next step in my growth phase and my vision and what I'm going to be contributing to the world. And it's going to take a more singular focus of energy. And that means letting some of the spinning plates stop. Over the next few weeks, I'll be sharing, but there are going to be some changes. And I definitely don't want to disappoint anyone within any of the communities that I'm serving, but it's just, it's one of those things that I know and I accept. What got me here will not get me there. So I have to stop focusing and giving that disbursement of energy, and I have to bring it in a little tighter. This is the next phase that I have to bring it in a little tighter. So what does that look like? And I'll be sharing that with many of you. But I just really wanted to give you an overview over where I started 2 years ago and where we're headed now. Because, oh gosh, yeah, by the time you guys hear this message, it will be the week of FHL. And I will be crossing that stage to receive a 2 Comma Club award for an incredible project that just encompassed everything that I went over. Singular focus, service beyond the singular sale, and creating experiences for customers beyond just one program. And that's what I'm excited about. It's actually the first 2 Comma Club award, because the second will come quickly with the next project that we're working on to create an even better experience to be able to serve more people within that particular niche. So I'm excited to share that with you guys as we grow and expand. And the Amplify coaching program, the waiting list will be opening up in just a couple weeks, maybe even be live by the time this podcast publishes. And I'm really, really excited to be able to take my singular focus on the business owners and entrepreneurs who are at that growth phase and ready to go from the 6 to 7 and 8 figures and beyond. Because the frameworks and the strategies that we've created for them it's going to create that ripple effect of impact. And that is my singular focus, is to encourage people to step fully into their purpose and be so crazy focused and determined and focused on the outcome. So bringing it right back around to where we started, the idea of it is not enough. You get to have the follow-up action and implementation that will get you there. So I invite you today to reflect. What do you need to leave behind? What do you need to say no to so you can say yes to other things? What do you need to walk away from as disbursement of your energy so you can have a singular compounding focus of your energy and more impact, momentum, and leverage towards where you want to go in that next growth phase? And if you're comfortable and it's sort of like smooth sailing, I would evaluate that situation as well. Because if you're comfortable, chances are you're not growing. There's potential left on the table. And I don't believe God created us to just do it an okay way. He created us with a fire in our soul to achieve incredible things with the gifts He blessed us with. And that is my lane, and I am going to own it. Like, I am a catalyst. I am, oh my gosh, like an arsonist, We take that fire and it just needs to blow up into a roaring blaze until it just spreads. And we create leaders, and we create more people that have that fire and that passion, and they in turn do the same thing. That is what 2020 is about for me. What is it about for you? I would love to hear. Please join us in the Amplify My Impact Facebook group and share if this podcast encouraged you, or this message touched you, and it made you realize, wait, there are some things that I do have to shift, or I do have to change, or I do have to say yes to, or I do have to challenge myself to kind of grow outside of my comfort zone. There are some things that got me here that are not going to continue to get me there. There's some things that you have to let go of. There's some things that you're going to have to step into. And I am so excited to be here along the journey with you for that. Cheering you on, encourage you every step of the way. And if you're going to be at Funnel Hacking Live this week, please find me. Please stop by and say hello. Give me a big hug. And let's just do this together. All right. Take care. Talk to you next time.
Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I hope you've received value, encouragement, and exactly what you need to help keep you in momentum to grow and impact the world around you. Big or small, we all make a difference. Thanks also for subscribing, downloading, and leaving a review. This helps us reach others who need this message in their life. If you know anyone who would benefit from this podcast, please share so you and I can help more people boldly step into purpose. It is my heart's mission to help and encourage others. My internal belief that a rising tide lifts all ships. So much of what we talk about on the podcast is leading with value and building relationships through service. So we've created a collection of resources for you to continue growing, whether you are just getting started or ready to scale your business. Visit amplifymyimpact.com for show notes, downloads, programs, and more information about how to directly work with our team to amplify your impact and change the world.